around the time a child is 12, if they've got ADHD, they will have received 20,000 more negative comments, 20,000, than their peers, their friends. And I think then adults grow up and go out into the world of work and they lack confidence and they struggle and they can't advocate for themselves and they can't go, hold on, I'm struggling, or can you help me please? They go, yeah, that's fine. And they're kind of suffering in silence.
Sure.
And they're masking, but also they're the coping ones. And then maybe if you're a woman and you hit perimenopause, bam, or you're a guy and you've been working flat out the whole time, and then you get to a certain age and you're like, I can't keep going.
Welcome to the Hidden 20%, our neurodiversity charity on a mission to rewrite the future for people who think differently. Together with you and an eclectic range of brilliant guests, we can break the cycle of silence by smashing outdated stereotypes, exposing the myths, and sharing the most up-to-date truths about what it really means to be just different, not deficient. The best way you can help is really simple. Subscribe so you never miss an episode, and if you can, donate to our charity through the link below. Enough preamble. I'm Ben, your host. Let's get into today's episode. So Hester, welcome back.
Thanks.
And thanks for bringing your husband.
Well, thought you had to come along for the ride.
So we've got ADHD in the room.
Yeah.
And 2 AuDHDers.
Yes.
Correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
This is going to be good. And so I was saying to you guys, we've never done an episode on neurodivergence in the workplace. And you guys have like the glitterati of amazing companies that you've been in and worked with.
We like to think so, yeah.
Red Bull.
Yeah.
Who else have you had?
We're long-term partners with TUI. We've done stuff with Marks and Spencer's, British Airways, Royal Caribbean.
NHS. I mean, the list goes on. We've done really well, actually, looking back, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And 6 years.
Yeah. 6 years of Perfectly Autistic, so yeah.
What is the number one thing that we, myself included, need to understand about neurodivergence in the workplace?
That's quite a big question.
Yeah.
One thing.
We're going big.
Yeah. I think it's around employers understanding that neurodivergence isn't a problem that needs fixing or managing. It's something that needs to be understood more and actually seen as a benefit, something that's going to kind of benefit the company in so many different ways. And I think that's the starting point. And it's about awareness, understanding, rather than just jumping to adjustments.
Yeah.
That's kind of the big thing. It's not, don't see it as a negative. It's actually a positive. And let's kind of understand it more.
Hester, what would you say?
Yeah, I think it's understanding that everybody's different, because I think quite often it's the whole, we've got an ADHDer. Okay, well, we know that ADHD looks like X, Y, and Z, and actually it doesn't. Or we've got autistic ADHDers, huge overlap. So, this is what it does because we once had Jack in accounting who was autistic and this is what worked for him. And I think it's understanding that it looks different in everybody. There are some common traits, aren't there? Some commonalities, 100%. But like Kelly said, it's a benefit rather than a difference that we should be scared of. It's
kind of, like you said, switching away from those stereotypes.
Yes.
This is somebody with ADHD. That's what they look like and sound like and what they can and can't do. Here's somebody who's autistic. We'll stick them in that corner because they don't like people, do they?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Well, no, that's not the case. Ask them the question. What do you like? What don't you like?
How do you balance that, though, with massive organizations doing things at scale, policies, etc., and then it being about the individual and each individual being different anyway, but also neurodivergence portraying or manifesting in different ways as well. Like, how do you talk with employers and employees about that?
I mean, I was going to say quite often we do like company-wide pieces of work, and this is often how it happens. And I have to say we're really proud. Everybody that's worked with us has come to us. We haven't had to email going, hi, neurodiversity, we think you should be talking about this. They've come to us and gone, we've either identified a problem or we've identified someone that needs support. So we do like a company-wide piece of work, whether that's a series of workshops, training, webinars, whatever that looks like. And then because I'm a certified ADHD coach, Kelly's a certified mediator, we kind of then are able to then take it down to the individual.
Okay.
So quite often what happens is you will have done a piece of work with a company, or I'll have done something with an organisation, and then people within that go, hold on a minute, I massively identified with Kelly's story,
Yeah.
or I really identified with what you said there. They might not know that they're neurodivergent themselves. And I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD until I was 43. I'm now 48. You were diagnosed as
44.
autistic first at 44 and then ADHD. So you can have people who are in roles that are struggling massively but don't know why, especially when Kelly shares his story about his journey, etc. What it looks like, people go, hold on a minute. Like, that's me. And we always say it's a Pandora's box. So don't get us in as a tick box exercise, as a 1 hour workshop, because it's Neurodiversity Celebration Week and tick, we're done.
Yeah.
Actually, what are you going to do next? And I think the most successful organisations that we work with, it's a journey, isn't it? And it's an ongoing piece of work rather than a one-off done, thank you.
Yeah, it's not this year's kind of trendy campaign.
Yeah.
No, this year
We
we'll
should.
do, yeah. We've done 3 other kind of diversities. We'll do neurodiversity this year. And then it's done, everybody will be happy. It's almost like the organisations that understand it's a long journey and actually they need to put things in place, not just kind of, as said, a 1 hour kind of workshop. It's ongoing. But it's making them kind of understand that it's a benefit and there are strengths. You know, why would we do this?
Yeah.
You know, we've had some companies say, oh, well, why would we do this just for that one person? You say, but you've got a company that's got, 10,000 people. Rough estimate is 20% of the population, and that's probably a lot bigger than that.
We're proving that that's bollocks.
So you've got more than So you've got more than one person in your company. So you're not doing for them. And actually, thinking about it, if you're putting together a neurodivergent friendly environment and you're adopting these principles, it's going to benefit everybody.
Yeah,
not just those
there is a
neurodivergent.
win-win
This
here,
is
right?
It's
about
like the right thing to do. It's like we always say, isn't it? Our children are autistic and ADHD. But if you had one child that was autistic or ADHD and one that wasn't, you don't go, oh, Billy, we're going to treat you this way. And, Susie, we're going to treat you that way. You just parent them in a neurodivergent friendly way and it benefits everybody. I've had 30 full-time jobs. I've never been fired from any of them. I have to caveat that. But I didn't know that I was neurodivergent. And you've worked in the corporate world for a really long time, not knowing you're autistic ADHD, but knowing you struggle with certain things. So like Kelly said, by putting these neurodivergent friendly principles in place, benefits everybody. It's just the right thing to do. It levels the playing field. It's not we think we should treat you this way. Like, you're wearing glasses right now. You don't have a benefit over us, do you?
No.
It's just leveled the playing field so now you can see properly. That's how it is.
What type of companies or people are coming to you saying, hey, we need your help?
Yeah, it's a mix, isn't it? It's a mix of those. It's HR, it's departments within HR, it's ED&I, it's kind of employee resource groups, which most large companies have got now.
Yes.
And they'll come and go, look, we really need some support, we need some help, we need to create a bit of awareness
Because I
within
think
an organisation.
internally, normally if they're ERGs, they're neurodivergent themselves.
Yeah.
So they're really passionate.
ERG being employee resource group.
group.
And they're normally kind of voluntary
Yeah.
alongside their day job. They'll have set up a network internally around neurodiversity, or it might be around something else. And they're almost leading the charge for neurodiversity. And the company has said, yep, we'll let you set this up. But sometimes it's left to them to do themselves with no, minimal resource, minimal kind of support or budget.
And above and
and
beyond
they've got to
their
go out and do
normal
it.
role,
Yeah.
isn't
But
it?
they want to do it because they're passionate, they're neurodivergent, or their children are, or the partner. So, well, we are going to do this. So we'll get approached by them a lot to say, what can you do? This is what we're trying to achieve. This is the problem. What sort of things can you offer?
Has anyone quantified the economic benefit of this is better for business if you support and take this seriously and allow all of your employees to thrive rather than just some of them?
Yeah.
Has there been any work to
I think there has, but I think even if you think about the cost of absenteeism through burnout, which we'll probably cover at some point today anyway, but kind of almost the hidden cost of being neurodivergent in the workplace and maybe either not supported or undiagnosed, what that looks like when it comes to sick days, absenteeism or presenteeism. So you're in at work, but my God, you're not performing, you're not really doing much, you're there physically.
Okay.
But actually you're completely burnt out and you're just sitting there going, I just got to get through the day, I just got to get through this. So, there are studies, and I cannot think off the top of my head.
There are studies
right
in terms of
now.
how much it costs business in general for mental health sickness.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's also things like, think of recruitment.
Yeah.
The cost that companies have to pay for bringing people in.
Yeah.
Actually, if they can't retain those individuals, they just leave after 3 months, 6 months because it doesn't work, then they have to do the whole thing again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cost, time, energy, if you can kind of take that away as much as possible by adopting these principles to help everybody, then surely it's a win-win. There's no downside to it because you're not saying we're investing more. You're just saying, well, we're doing things slightly differently.
Yeah. And so burnout, absenteeism, what else is going on in terms of if you're not supporting this, what are the problems that employers and employees, I guess, are facing?
Well, I guess you've got masking. Do you want to explain that?
Yeah. And I guess masking, as we know, is basically you're hiding your condition, right? So you're almost pretending to be somebody else. You're trying to fit into this environment, particularly in the workplace, that doesn't suit you. It wasn't built for you. So you're not going to be as productive as you should be. You're not going to be as effective. You're not going to be as happy.
Yep.
So you've got masking, which then leads on to things like, burnout, depression, anxiety, all sorts of other things that come out of that. So I think companies are seeing that and they're not getting their individuals as their real selves. And then they're questioning, well, why aren't you performing? Why aren't you and they put it down to poor performance or bad attitude or bad behavior. And it's not. It's just you're trying so hard to fit in with the barriers that are created that are very narrow.
Yes.
And, if you're neurotypical, you can fit into those narrow kind of barriers and there's no impact. If you're neurodivergent, you get all these feelings of anxiety and you're trying to fit in. And that's where, the wheels start to come off. And that's where you get people who, lose their jobs or move on to another job because they kind of suddenly reach that peak. And those that understand internally, they know when they're getting to that point of burnout and that, right, I need to move before I'm found out.
Yes.
So they move on.
Yes.
Or they try and find another job internally. I mean, I did that. I worked for...
Because you're speaking from experience.
Yeah, I worked for, one of the companies I worked for years ago was PepsiCo. And I think over the course of 6 years, I had 6 or 7 jobs internally because it was a kind of FMCG company. You'd work calendar years and you'd have kind of campaigns. And I worked out that January to December, I'd work ever so hard, like harder than anybody else, but I didn't know it back then. And at the end in December, I just felt I can't do this again. I can't start January where the clock starts at 0 again. You have to hit targets and do all those things. So I would then engineer a way of getting to another role. Unfortunately for me, that ended up most occasions being promoted into a role, which was great.
Yeah.
And I'd give that another year.
Yeah.
And I'll try and get promoted.
Yeah.
But this is what you can do in big organisations, right?
And this is it. And they don't spot it. And we're all like, oh, this is amazing. Aren't we proud of Kelly? He's getting promoted again.
Sure.
And this is amazing. And almost then you get to that level and then you're like, okay, I don't actually know if I can keep doing it.
Yeah.
But you didn't know why you felt that way, did you?
No, I just knew that I got to the stage of thinking the wheels are going to come off. I've hidden so much stuff about myself and what I've done and what not I haven't managed to do. They're going to find out. So if I can almost jump ship, get into a new role, start from scratch. Oh, you're great. You're amazing. And, I did some stuff really, really well. Other stuff I just found really challenging. And I used to look around and think, God, everybody must be feeling this way, but they're really much better at hiding it.
And what did you therefore need, or what could you have had as an employee from your employer that could have helped?
I think probably the first thing would have been awareness. I mean, I didn't know myself.
Yes.
That I was neurodivergent, autistic and ADHD. So if I'd known, I could have probably understood myself a bit better. What are my triggers? What works? What doesn't? And then I could have shared that with them. But I think if the organisation back then knew about neurodiversity, they talked about it, consistently and constantly. What is it? Created this safe space. Maybe back then I would have looked and gone, hold on a minute, that could be me. I'm struggling in that. Maybe I need to look at neurodiversity. But I didn't. I just kind of struggled on thinking, well, they're all feeling the same way, but we just don't talk about it. But if they, if somebody had said, this could be what it is, let's talk about it. We're having workshops, we're doing training. I'd be like, oh my God, that's me. And then I might have gone forward to my line manager or HR and said, you've talked about this as a business. I feel that it's a safe space to open up. I didn't know, but I think that could be me.
Yes.
And then that's when we could have gone down that road of gone, okay, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
So you struggle in this area. Could it be because of this? Yeah, could it be? Could be.
Yeah.
What can we do to help me? And the important thing is if you help me, it's going to help you.
Yes. Yes.
Even silly things like if I'm not very good at meeting deadlines. This isn't me, by the way. I'm just giving you an example.
Just qualifying that.
Just qualifying that.
Just so you know, any future clients, we're really good at that.
So if I'm not very good at meeting deadlines, it's like, okay, if we can put something in place to help that, then my line manager is going to benefit because he or she isn't going to be chasing me. And maybe they're chasing me because their boss is chasing them.
Sure.
So it has this kind of positive domino effect.
Yep.
So it's not just about what can I get out of it. It's actually I'm giving something back as well.
Yep.
Because you're getting a far happier, healthier, productive member of your team that's doing the work you want them to do. Rather than saying it's bad performance or whatever it is, we'll get you out. Have to bring someone in again. But you might have been really, really good at your job.
Yeah.
There were just a couple of things that tripped you up along the way.
And Hester, what would have helped you not have 30 jobs?
Oh, really good question. I think looking back, for me, it was the dopamine seeking. And I so started my life out at working at ITV. I used to be a presenter on the right stuff. So the on-air sign would go ping and, oh my God, showtime, like off I go. And actually, as an industry in media, you moved on quite quickly. Do you remember it was contract roles, wasn't it? Like I moved on quite quickly. And then I got into PR and marketing. So I didn't know it was my ADHD. And I think if I had found a role earlier that kind of ticked all the boxes of dopamine seeking and fun, and I think that's what it was, is I was probably looking for something new and exciting and shiny and lovely. And I think running our own business now, I still do that. Like the other day, you're like, I see you've been designing another website. It's just like...
we are constantly websites, domain names.
I'm like, I've just created a new logo.
How many domain names have you got?
Honestly.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
That's the honest answer. We've got a lot.
Yeah. And don't you think that should be part of the diagnostic criteria?
How many domain names?
How many domain... Do you have the promo, for Canva to design a logo or a business card just in case? Like... That's exciting and shiny and lovely. And I think if I'd have known that from a career perspective, I inadvertently did find a career that suited me in terms of media, going to PR and marketing. And I did get to do some really cool stuff. And for me, that was really great. And I didn't really know I masked, but obviously I'm quite a lot. And I would change jobs and I would think to myself, right, you're quite a lot. You can be quite a lot for some people. So I used to think in my head, and I didn't really think it was masking, like, just don't laugh as loudly.
Okay.
Right.
Tone it down a little bit.
Literally, be less Hester. I used to stay in my head. Not that I ever refer to myself in the third person.
Sure.
But it would just be like, right, it's been 6 weeks now. You can unleash a little bit and unleash the next bit. And do you remember I worked for Hitachi in finance? I mean, God knows how that happened. But I did. And they would comment on my outfits and it was just... wasn't even that mad, just not corporate, and I didn't wear a suit and whatever. Yeah. But I think if I'd have been in a role where the manager was like, we get it, you get bored quite easily, let's give you some project work, let's support you with deadlines or kind of checking in halfway when you've got something, there was quite a lot of autonomy in my role as well, which doesn't always suit neurodivergent folk because you're just expected to get on with stuff. So I think manager support, but I think, like with Kelly, I think you found the workplace much more challenging, whereas I got it almost a bit more bored, didn't I? Does that make sense?
I think also looking back, I went into a career in sales. And, you met me for 5 minutes before this. And, it probably is not, looking back, it's not the career that I should have gone into.
Ironically, I sold British Gas door to door when I was 18.
Yeah.
And I was...
I was all right.
Yeah.
I was okay. But I had to put so much effort into it because I'm not naturally, small talk is the worst for me.
Yeah.
You used to have to do networking.
Network events. And, a lot of the time, later on in my career, I would kind of lead teams and stuff. So I would have to be the one that motivates everybody.
Yeah.
And it's the one up there
front.
and laying that kind of foundation for everybody. And it was so exhausting having to be that person rather than just sit at the back and go, I'm part of the team.
Yeah.
I can just kind of be part of the team. Rather be, come on, guys, you need to and be motivated and motivate them.
You'd put so much effort into it.
Yeah.
And I remember you'd come up and you'd be like, I have checked in with everyone. I've asked how their holidays were. I've checked in if they had a good... I've made so much effort. And someone went, I didn't feel that seen today. And Kelly's like, I don't know what more I can do for them. Like, I have given 1,000%. I know that's not a thing. But you know what I mean? That kind of, what else could I have done?
Yeah. And we used to say that before my diagnosis, before we knew that I was kind of an extroverted introvert. So, I am an introvert, but because of my job, I had to pretend to be an extrovert. And that's all part of masking.
Exactly. Masking, in my experience, is the extroversion, right?
Yeah.
That is all it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not being an extrovert.
No.
It's
pretending.
Masking.
It's pretending to be something you're not.
Yeah.
But it's so exhausting.
Yeah.
So much energy, but also not just mentally, physically.
Yeah.
I'd be physically exhausted. If I'd been away for work one day and you'd have to go to some sort of award ceremony or customer engagement, and I would just come away exhausted. And the next 2 days, I was like, one of the days, but I can't work today. I'm just...
You'd
but we
be
didn't
physically
know why.
ill as well, wouldn't
We'd
you?
think, is it something you drank? Is it something you ate?
Sure.
We'd call you a lightweight.
Yeah, but it wasn't that.
Yeah.
So
whose
that's
responsibility is this of is it the employer's responsibility? Is it the employee's responsibility? Is it people like you guys who are training and coaching and consulting? Is it the government? Is it whose responsibility is this?
I think it's a mix.
I was just going to say
because
the same. Yeah,
if we talk,
everything.
we're talking about maybe 20% of the population in neurodivergent. I think probably more than that. Also, 50% of those don't know they're neurodivergent. So actually, if you say it's down to the responsibility of the individual, what if they don't know?
Yeah.
They just know they really struggle with certain things. Nobody's ever told them, oh, you might be autistic, or they've never thought about it. So it can't be just down to them because that's never going to work. From an organisation point of view, if we go back to what I was saying before, if they are talking about these things, maybe that will kind of provide that light bulb moment for the individuals to go, that's me.
Yep.
Now I can look into that a bit more.
Yep.
So I think workplaces have a big responsibility because the barriers that they put around their people, they need to understand, well, what works and what doesn't. So there's responsibility for them. There's, obviously responsibility for the government in terms of policies and what we should be able to do and what's right and what's wrong. All these sort of things. So I think it's a mix of all of them.
Yeah.
But no, even just in terms of like coaching and things, I remember, finished working with them. They're an amazing person. They would be in London a lot. And I'd be like, right, so you need to know that the next couple of days, you just need to have a quiet work situation. Can you work from home? Can you this? And they were openly autistic and ADHD. So they would share that, and the boss would be like 100%. So you go home from that and you work from home for the next day or two. So there's not so much peopling. So you're still doing your work, you're still doing your job, but you're not back in the office, having to try and make that effort, and just being able to remove getting to work, the travel, the what am I going to eat at lunch, the who's going to be in on my hot desking, all those kind of things.
Take the demands away.
Yeah. So I'm always like, we kind of, even ourselves, would plan ahead and go, right, this is a really busy working week. Let's make sure we don't do much at the weekend. It's kind of the whole, old don't burn the candle at both ends.
Sure.
But actually, as a neurodivergent person, you need to be responsible to go, I'm not going to then go out for dinner with someone that night and then do this the next day and then have a really busy weekend. Actually, I need to know where my barriers are. And I think with us as a neurodiversity consultancy, it's about the coaching and the understanding. And we talk about stuff like that, don't we, in our training and our webinars and workshops. Like we did a big NHS one last week, didn't I? And I spent time at the end going, if you've got half an hour in your day, what can you do for yourself? What is it? Is it you want to, message someone or call them or go for a walk or stand in your garden or read a book? Or let's do more things for ourselves that help us recuperate. And this is for everybody, not just neurodivergent people. But for neurodivergent people, it's really important to be able to understand yourself a bit more. And that's, I think, hopefully what coaching does is people go, oh yeah, I can't keep going. Because I think sometimes we're the worst, aren't we? Going, let's keep going, and I'll design a website and I'll get up early and I'll, all the shiny, exciting things. But I think, like Kelly said, it's everybody.
But it is, and I think we feel that responsibility really deeply. Because we're neurodivergent, we've got a neurodivergent family. We live and breathe it every single day, right?
Yes.
And we're here. We talk to as many people, as many companies as we possibly can. And there's that responsibility to make sure that we get things right as well.
Sure.
Because we want people to get the correct information, not wrong information that you can just, Google and it'll give you something you think, oh, well, that's what it might be.
Yeah.
Yes.
A client we worked with a couple of years ago, they had recruited an autistic individual and they were really proud of that. They thought this was great. Look, aren't we really great? I was like, fantastic, okay. And they had issues. They said, well, it's just not working. We were like, well, why is it not working? Well, because we've kind of given this individual their own desk, kind of in a quiet space in this open plan office. But they don't like that. And I said, why did you do that? Well, because we read that's what autistic people, they don't like other people, do they? So we've given them their own space away from everybody else. But no, you've got it completely wrong. So there's this responsibility that we feel really strongly and quite heavy on us, that we need to make sure that when we are communicating to people and companies, that they're getting the right message, the right awareness, the right accuracy around, look, you need to understand this properly.
Yeah.
It's not stereotypes. It's not one size fits all. It's everybody's different.
Yeah.
It's just, if you're neurodivergent, you feel some of these things a lot stronger than anybody else.
And so then I can imagine, maybe not so much people listening, but certainly in the wider workplace, managers going, do you know what? I'm having a workshop every bloody week on something D&I wise.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that I have to learn all about autism, all about dyslexia, all about dyspraxia, whatever that is, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, Tourette's, like blah, blah, blah. Like, are you telling me I've got to suddenly become an expert
in all of these?
In all of this stuff. That is so overwhelming. And you're telling me that everyone's individual. You're telling me that it doesn't show up in the same way. Off.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah. And it's really overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really overwhelming. If you said that to somebody, like, oh my God, I can't cope. The easy answer is no. Obviously they don't need to become the expert. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
It's about giving people information. It's about making safe spaces so people can talk about these sorts of things, so they can understand. It's being able to signpost their people, say, look, we're not the experts here, but we can help you on your journey.
It's not about having all the answers, is it? It's about going, do you know what? Okay, so you've got dysgraphia. I don't know much about that. Can you share what that means to you? Can you explain it to me? We don't have to have all the answers. And I think managers feel, oh my God, like you said, I need to be an expert in this. I need to be an expert in gender.
Another
and ethnicity.
thing.
Like, oh my God, like what else? And obviously, it's a hidden disability. It's a hidden condition. So then it's like, well, hold on a minute. I can't even see it now.
Yeah.
And now I don't know what to do. So,
and they don't even have to tell me. You don't have to legally disclose that you're neurodivergent.
But you can then go bam, mic drop, and you're like, well, hold on, I didn't know. You know, it's a minefield, and I completely get that. But I think it's about saying, you know, we say, even if you suspect someone, obviously you don't out them. Do you remember that call we had? And they went, how do we find them? We were like, it's not Hunger Games. Like, you know, how do we track them down? And we were like, we didn't work with them, did we? Funny enough, they were not the company for us.
You're not neurodiversity detectives.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Like, hiya.
They're not hiding, you know.
Yeah. In plain sight.
Yeah.
And I think it's about saying, we've just seen there are some challenges. Maybe you're not getting your work in on time, or you're struggling with this, or you seem really overwhelmed. Is everything okay? Can I support you? And I think sometimes when people say, how can I help you? That feels massive. But if it's like you say this to me, it's like, okay, you seem overwhelmed. How can I help you? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, what are you struggling with? What are you? Okay, well, I've got this in my mind. I've got this. And then you work it out. And that's what managers can do.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of going, I don't have all the answers. I've never heard of dysgraphia. I've never heard of dyscalculia. I don't know much about these terms. Please help me understand. What does it look like for you? What does that mean? Rather than everyone feeling they have to have all the answers, it's not that at all. And I think that's
the
really
important thing. Is it's asking
really
questions
important.
and then it's listening.
Yeah.
So tell me. So I don't make assumptions that make the situation worse.
The labels and the terms actually in this case are actually really unhelpful because they're so loaded.
Yeah.
They're so judged. They come with so much bias, prejudice,
well,
stigma.
What about the Barbie and Mattel?
Yeah.
I mean, autistic Barbie, that's blown up.
Yeah, that really has blown up.
Mattel were not expecting that. And it's because, well, it's a look and it's a this, and you're saying...
And it's one.
And Barbie's a female. We were talking to our son about it. I had a little debate with him the other day because I was like, right, let's discuss this. And he went, what about Ken?
Yeah.
Because
Where's
as an
Ken?
autistic 14-year-old boy...
Of course.
Where's Ken in this? Fair enough. Why is Ken not neurodivergent?
My autistic daughter's like, I don't need any more Barbies. I've got Barbies.
Is she? Yeah.
You were like, phew.
Doesn't
Well,
matter that this is autistic Barbie.
No. I know, but it's really interesting. And I think this is what happens. And as a community, we find everyone's very quick to attack and jump on. That's not the right thing to say.
Yes.
That's not, it's quite militant at times. I'm putting myself out there
No,
now.
no, there is a police force on LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah.
And on social, the like neuro-linguistic police, I call them, the NLP, like
do they have a badge?
They are on you.
Yeah, of course they are.
Honestly. Yeah. And also someone in the public eye like yourself, you've then got to be careful what you say, and you're like, this is my personal opinion.
Sure.
Like, please don't tell me
But
what
also
my
I
view
find
is.
that, they attack, but they don't have any solutions themselves. It's just a lot easier to say that's wrong.
Yeah, you
I don't agree with
say
that.
It like that.
No, it's like, well, what should it be? Well, I don't know, but you don't do it. It's like, well, no, give us something constructive.
Yeah.
Help us out a little bit.
Like we do a lot, in workshops and things around language and what to say and what not to say. Our children could not care less.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm autistic, I have autism, we have the tism, they literally don't care. They're like, I'm not bothered.
Yeah.
I
just see me, hear me, and listen and
like it doesn't
support.
define me.
And, yeah.
But I think this is it, isn't it? And we do around language and what to say and what not to say, because I think that's really important from a workplace perspective.
If we're talking specifically about language, it's whatever's right for that individual.
Yeah.
However they want to phrase, their condition, how they feel it, what it feels like. That's purely, that's down to them. Use whatever language. That's why it's good to ask them. So how would you explain your autism? How would you explain your ADHD, for instance? Yep. When I'm kind of doing training workshops, I'm very clear that for those individuals that are neurodivergent, whatever goes for them works for them. If it's the wider audience and they're trying to learn and educate themselves, awareness, I want to try and make sure, right, this is what the community prefers in terms of language or wording or phrasing, but that will differ.
Yeah.
But if you're, as a non-neurodivergent individual, going to talk about somebody who's autistic or ADHD, this is the language you should use, but then refer to the individual if you can. And that's really important, because otherwise you will just get this people piling in and go, well, that's not right. I'm not agreeing with that. And then the companies will go,
it's too much. I don't want to.
I don't get it. It's too complicated.
And I'm worried about saying the wrong thing.
The beauty I am finding, and we are a fully neurodivergent team on the charity. Yeah. We're a large majority neurodivergent team on the drink side as well, is that I don't need to talk about the labels.
Yeah.
Because I'm having a conversation about how somebody processes information or how somebody likes to receive information.
Yeah.
And that's got absolutely nothing to do actually with needing to call out, oh, you're autistic. What is it like for you? It's like, no, let's just talk about how do we want a meeting to be?
Yeah.
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 That's got nothing. That's just individual way of working. Yeah. That is like, let's get the best.
Yeah.
And it benefits everybody.
And that's great because obviously your company set up and people understand. But most companies don't.
Yeah.
And if you just said to somebody, well, in a company, well, I don't like doing things like that. That doesn't work for me, or I get really anxious. The immediate reaction is, well, don't be ridiculous. Why would you get anxious at that? I don't get anxious at that. We're just going to carry on. I think using the labels almost makes us go, oh, okay. All right, there's a reason now for this. Right, let me listen to it. So, right, you struggle with that. You're processing or deadlines, whatever it might be. Okay, you're saying it's ADHD or because you're autistic. Right, okay, I will listen a bit more now. Whereas if you just said, I can't do that, well, don't be ridiculous. Go and learn to do it.
Yeah.
But there are some things that we can't learn to do. Doesn't matter how much coaching you get, how much training, my brain just doesn't compute, right? Yep. So I think labels are quite useful at the moment. But, the hope is that there is a day when most companies are like, the way you've described it, we don't need to use labels. We just talk about, look, I struggle with that, or I find it easy doing this, or can we do it that way? Yeah, absolutely. Explain why.
Yes.
What's the benefit?
Yes.
But I think at the moment, people don't understand why people might struggle with something.
Sure.
Or why we might need to do it a different way.
Yeah.
We even struggle just to communicate differently.
Yeah.
What do you mean you want to communicate that way? Well, because no, I do it this way, so you're going to do it that way.
Yeah.
So I think that helps break down the barriers and say, okay, there's a reason, I get it, rather than just you're being difficult.
I think also some labels people feel quite scared with. So I always say ADHD is your gateway drug. People can handle maybe thinking they've got ADHD. It's a bit cool, it's a bit quirky. Oh, the media says whatever. You say autism, you might be autistic. It's like, bam. It's like a grenade in there. People are like, what do you mean?
Yeah, that's where the stereotypes come in, don't you?
Yes.
They go, okay, I've seen a movie about that.
Or you think, Sherlock, The Good Doctor, Young Sheldon.
Yeah.
Rain Man is the one people mostly remember. No, that's not the way. Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah, true. For us older.
Yeah. For the older lot. For the younger lot, it's Young Doctor and Young Sheldon and stuff. But I think that's the thing is people don't realise, and they're often talking about ADHD, but actually they're not. They're talking about their autistic traits, because if you're autistic, it's 70% chance you've also got ADHD. You two both are autistic ADHD.
Sure.
Our kids are both autistic ADHD. There is this huge overlap. And I think this is what's happening is people aren't realising that. And then maybe they're seeking an ADHD diagnosis, or they're taking ADHD medication, and bam, here comes their autism, which they didn't know was hiding in the corner.
Sure.
And people aren't aware of that, are they? And I'm seeing that a lot in my coaching, where I've got people going, but hold on, I've been diagnosed with ADHD, I'm medicated. Why am I still feeling anxious? Why am I still feeling this? And I'm like, because you're autistic.
Yeah.
And you just didn't realise it yet, kind of thing. So the labels are important, unfortunately, sometimes.
If somebody's undiagnosed listening and struggling at work, but has done an online test, or is on a wait list, or thinks they might be, or is relating to TikTok videos or whatever.
Yeah.
What rights do they have in their job, like as an employee?
Well, if you're neurodivergent, it comes under the Disabilities Act, right? So companies have to put certain things in place, what we call reasonable adjustments. Okay, and they're called reasonable for a reason. You can't do whatever you want to do. So if you go to your employer and say, look, I'm really struggling with this, I think I have ADHD, or I do have ADHD, or I'm autistic, the employee needs to listen, and they need to have a conversation with you. It says, okay, where are you struggling? What support do you need? If you know what support you need, and what reasonable adjustments could be put in place. So it might be things like the environment you're in. It might be where you're seated. It might be allowing you to have things like noise cancelling headphones or earphones, flexible working because you work better at certain times. Or maybe your job involves lots of focus during certain parts of the day. So actually, is there an area you can go outside of this big open plan, space that's got hot desking? You can go and spend an hour a day to do your focused work, because we know that will help you. Yeah. So they need to listen and put some things in place and work with that individual to understand, what is it you need? Where can we help you? And, a lot of times the individual will say, but I don't know. I don't know what I need.
Yeah.
I just know I'm really struggling.
Yeah.
And that's where they need to have a conversation. Okay, talk me through where you're struggling. And I always say to kind of companies and leaders, look, you can then have a conversation around the challenges rather than the condition. Yeah, so don't worry too much about the diagnosis.
Yes.
Like you said,
What are the
labels.
challenges?
Yeah.
Where do you struggle?
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpick that. Don't worry about the diagnosis. Why do you struggle? And what can we help you with? And then also the individual can say, well, if you can help me with that, it makes me a better member of the team.
Yeah.
And I can help you in turn.
I think when you ask for requests, or when you're like, I struggle with this, and they come up with a solution, you can then reframe it as an employee. If I have this, this will help me do X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
Look at that. Aren't I being great and supportive?
Yep.
And I think the thing is, though, there are such long waiting lists. It's 10 years, isn't it, in some areas? Some areas have closed the ADHD waiting list now, unless you're very severely at a point in crisis, unfortunately. So actually, we always say, put things in place now. Don't wait for a diagnosis. Some people might not want to be diagnosed. It's obviously their choice.
Sure.
But actually, they know, and work can still put things into place and support them with whatever that looks like. But like Kelly said, it's got to be
So therefore,
reasonable.
sorry, just to be really clear there, if I'm an employee and I don't have a diagnosis, I can still approach my boss,
Absolutely.
manager.
You don't need a formal diagnosis.
You do not need a
The fact
formal
that you go in and
diagnosis.
say, I believe I'm ADHD, I believe I'm autistic, that's fine.
So that's really important.
Yeah,
that's really important
Yeah.
because there are 500,000 people sat on a waiting list.
I know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
With no
light
it's
at
not
the end of
just
the tunnel.
round the corner.
No. And also, I think you get a lot of people that maybe were diagnosed autistic first and go, I can't go through another diagnosis. This feels too much, or there's too many forms. There's too many barriers, aren't there, in getting a diagnosis? So I think 100% you can go to your employer and ask for reasonable adjustments. Because remember, we had that email from someone saying, I work in a warehouse, I'm the warehouse manager, and I've asked to work from home. And I was like, right. And the employer had said yes to 2 or 3 days working from home. And they said, but that's unfair. I want to be able to work from home always. And I was like, I had to reply and be like, you are a warehouse manager. You need to be in the warehouse to manage that.
Yes.
So maybe this isn't the right role for you. And I think sometimes employers especially think, oh my God, I've got this person and I have to do this for them. But actually, at the end of the day, you're running a business, you're running a company, whether it's your own company or a bigger organization, the person still has to do their job.
Yeah.
So actually, is it about looking and seeing where else that person could fit? Do you know what I mean? Is this the best role for them? Is this the best way? Like Kelly said, when he worked at PepsiCo, lots of different opportunities, places to go. Is that really the best we're getting from them? Or actually, if we take them out and put them in there, is that going to be magical? And that's the part that unlocks it for them. And I think that's really important.
Can you paint me a picture of the dream employer?
Wow. Okay. I think probably
like best in class, just absolute 5 stars, gold stars, absolutely perfect employer.
Okay.
From
No.
neurodiversity.
Yeah. And just to clarify, that doesn't exist today, right? It doesn't exist today.
Yeah.
I think it's an employer that's kind of open and honest.
Yeah.
They've got the awareness and understanding. They're asking their individuals questions about themselves.
Yeah. Top down.
Top down. So the person at the top is, consistently and constantly communicating, talking about these things. So it becomes this safe space, right? Because if they're not talking about it, I better not either, because God, something's going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, we talk about the stigma and the fear. There's a huge stigma around it, but also the fear if I open up, I'm gone. Or what are they going to think of me? Or they're not going to promote
It's a
me.
weakness.
Exactly,
or-
It's a weakness. Well, they can only do that type of job, so we'll stick them over there. So it's having that kind of awareness. It's kind of being open about what they do and how they do it. And I think also it's focusing on people's strengths. So an organisation that focuses on individual strength and puts them into roles and gives them tasks that place their strengths rather than weaknesses. Because what we tend to do as big companies, we want to kind of put everybody into this one box and we say it's one size fits all. We want you all to do all of these things okay.
Yeah.
Rather than we want some experts. So we want experts great at that. We know you're not going to get that, never are, but we know somebody in your team, your weakness is their strength.
Yes.
So let's give them all of those types of roles. Why do we try and fit you all into this box?
It's sort of dividing and conquering, isn't it?
Yeah.
Looking in the team and going, Hester, you're absolutely shocking at Excel and maths. Let's not let you do that.
Yeah.
But stick you in front of a client absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
Whereas that would be your idea of
Nightmare.
not so.
We don't do that with the football team. We don't do that
Oh
with
my God.
the army.
Your
we don't do that
analogy-
with...
Your analogy that I'm not allowed to share because every time I share it, I get it slightly wrong is about a football team.
So yeah, I talk about a football team and I say, right, you bring a new striker in, right? And I'm the manager of the team and I'm like, right, we've noticed your strengths. You're really good at scoring goals. You score 10 goals a season. That's amazing. We'll park that because it's a strength. We don't need to do anything with that.
Yeah.
But your weaknesses, we've noticed that you're not very good at saving penalties, are you? And strikes, but I don't. One day, as an organisation, we might need you to save a penalty. So for the next year, we're going to make you work on your penalties and that's it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, we're going to base your bonus on how many penalties you've saved in training and whether we think you're good enough now. What they should be doing, saying that's irrelevant. Saving penalties is not something we want you to do. But your strength, what we want to try and do is build you from 10 goals a season to 15, to 20, to 25. That's far more valuable to us as a company than having you focus on saving penalties, which you'll never have to do. But as an organisation, we like everybody to be able to do a bit of everything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we kind of say, don't we?
Well,
It's the classic,
I get it wrong.
pay for the maths tutor because
Yes.
the child isn't very good at maths and ignore the arts tutor
Yes.
because they are brilliant painter.
Yes, because we don't need that.
Yeah.
No, make them better at math. It seems so counterintuitive.
Well, it is, isn't it? I was thinking about this the other day, very randomly going off on a tangent. When I was having to choose my GCSE options, we're looking at that for our son at the moment, I really, really wanted to do drama. I was not allowed to apply to take drama because I was told I was too loud and outgoing. And I was thinking, my God, if that happened to our kids now, I'd go absolutely mad. So they refused to let me apply for GCSE drama. Think where I could be now, Ben.
Yeah.
Like the sky's the limit.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? But isn't that mad?
Yeah.
Whereas actually, rather than going, she likes being on stage, she's quite outgoing, she'd be fabulous at drama. And they were basically sort of sharing it as if drama was something for the not confident children and that's how we'll be.
Sure.
I could have got an A in that GCSE.
But we have this weird, uniform, mediocre ambition.
Yeah.
Right?
Everyone's
where it's just like, let's get everybody to the same level.
Yeah.
Smooth it all out.
Yeah.
Everyone's the same.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're a bit too good at that. Go over there and do something that you're not so good at.
Yeah.
Okay, so strengths based on your perfect company.
Things like more clarity.
Yeah.
What is it we actually want? What are we doing? Expectations. Are the expectations clear? Because we all have different expectations. And for somebody who's neurodivergent, your expectations might be very, very different. So being really clear about expectations, the processes, what you're going to be doing, what you're not going to be doing.
And also the whole hideous, performance tracking at the end of the year and all that kind of stuff. And actually, have they been really clear from day one? Or is it a bit ambiguous and you're not quite sure? And then they go, oh, you didn't do that.
Yes.
And you're like, you didn't tell me that was part of my
Caught
job.
you out.
And actually, I've been really busy running an ERG and doing all these amazing things.
Yeah.
So it's, I think, like you said, that being really clear from day one.
What about recruitment process?
Recruitment's a really big one, isn't it? We talk a lot to companies about recruitment because, nobody gets it right and more often than not, they get it terribly wrong. Right from the beginning, even before they get the person through the door, they get it.
Yeah.
So things like job descriptions, we're talking forever with companies about most companies, and I know because I've been in that position, you take a job description, you just regurgitate the same one you used last time. You just change the name.
It's copy and paste,
and
isn't
maybe,
it?
a couple other bits, but the basis of it the same, what your competencies are, what you need to do. It's always the same.
It's like excellent communication skills.
Yeah.
Sure.
What does that
great
mean?
presenting. And you think they normally have like 10 things. And from an autistic person's point of view, I can speak personally, I'll read that job description. I'll think, they're asking for 10 things. Well, I've only got 8 of those. So actually I won't apply because there'll be people out there who've got all 10 and they won't be. So it's almost think about what's relevant and what's not.
And the
Why are you
wording.
asking for this stuff? It goes back to the strengths and weaknesses. If it's not relevant, leave it out.
Yeah.
Or like, you need 4 years excellent presenting skills. I've got 3.5. So you'd be like, well, I've only got 3.5. So I won't apply.
Yeah, but I did a poetry competition when I was 7.
Bam.
So
Hello. Yeah.
4 years.
This
Like
is it.
presenting
Yeah.
what?
I know,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, it gives me the vibe when I applied for that job when we went backpacking in Australia and I applied for a sandwich job and they said, how many years experience of making sandwiches? And I was like 15. And they were like, really? And I was like, well, yeah, because I've been making them since I was like 13. That I didn't get the job.
No, you
Fuming.
didn't, no.
Absolutely fuming. But it is that, isn't it? It's like, what do you mean when you say experience? What level? So I think recruitment is a huge one and it's about getting it right with the job description. Like you said, not copying and pasting. And then it's the interviews.
Well, even before the interviews, you get that question, don't you? Do you
Yeah.
want to disclose anything? Do you want to disclose if you're
Okay.
neurodivergent, you've got disabilities? Well, personally, myself, I wouldn't ever disclose during a job because I think we're not ready for that as businesses.
Yeah.
Stereotypes, it may not be going to HR, it might be going to an actual line manager who goes, well, I don't want someone in my team that's like that because I've heard what they're like, kind of thing. So don't disclose. And then you don't get the support when you go for the interview because you haven't disclosed. And then you go for the interview, as you're going to say, and it's more about performance within that interview rather than, well, are you actually any good?
Yeah.
Will you be good at the job? It's like, well, they didn't perform in the room. I used to work in recruitment many years ago, lots of different hats. And we used to recruit for the investment banks in London. And we would get people in the door, the candidates who were going for the jobs in reception. And we'd ask the receptionist when she'd showed them to the room. So what were they like? Did they look smart? Were they personable? And she'd give us a rundown. And we'd almost make our mind up on whether they were going to be any good or not from the feedback she gave us. And she wasn't even a recruiter. And then when we went into the room, we'd work out, was it a good handshake? And this whole thing about, is it a good handshake? Did they maintain eye contact? Did they have any fidget at all? If any of those things were off, then they're not going to be any good, are they?
Yep.
I don't know any job in the world where part of your criteria or task is to give good handshakes.
Sure.
I mean, we'll go down a slippery slope with that one, but, or maintain good eye contact or body language. So most interviews are about...
sales would be the one where I'd kind of go, first impression.
Yeah.
Yes.
But does the handshake matter?
Yeah, but maybe I'm old school.
No, well,
maybe I would
I think
say
it is
that
old school.
The handshake does matter.
what if it's too limp?
Yeah, I don't...
What if it's too firm? I hate a bone crusher. And I'm like, all right, love, I'm 4'11". You don't have to exert your authority on me.
But I think the point is lots of things we base our criteria on an individual is not related to how well they're going to do the task, right? It's all this kind of other stuff, which is like, you can sort out.
Or me fidgeting. Right now I fidget a lot. Does that mean I'm not paying attention? Does that mean I'm not listening? Does that mean I wouldn't do a great job because I would fidget in the interview because I fidget?
And it's things like, if you think about somebody who's neurodivergent, we do sometimes have slower processing, right? So you're asked a question and you need to respond straight away.
Yeah.
And if you haven't responded straight away, well, you're no good because they're no good at answering questions.
Or there's a 2 or a 3-parter.
Yeah.
That's got a name. But
I remember the first bit, but not the... can you say that again?
At once.
Just ask me one question and be done with it. So we always say, send the questions out in advance. 24 hours, 48 hours. Some love that. And others like, well, that's cheating, isn't it? What do you mean it's cheating? Well, because they're going to know what to answer then. But it's not cheating. You want to see that person in their best light. You're not trying to trip them up.
Yeah.
And they're like, but why should we send it to them? I said, no, send to everybody.
Yeah, of course.
Make it a level playing field.
Yeah.
Because I might have some really great examples of stuff that I've done really well that link directly to what you want me to do.
Yeah.
But on the spot, I can't think of anything. You asked me what I did yesterday, I'll be like, oh, God, I don't know.
Sure.
I can't think. You asked me what I did in 1996, I can probably tell you.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? So it kind of works that way. So if you're asking me for a question, I don't know.
You'll
but if I've got 24 hours,
if I have a bit of time.
But I think people think it's, they'll have time to really think about it.
Well, I did
good.
This.
That's what we want them to.
I did this the other day on the NHS workshop and they were like, they might chat GPT it.
Yeah.
I was like, but you're quite quickly going to know if they just chat GPT'd it or if they actually know the medical answer. It was like a role where you'd be out and about in the community. And I was like, I could chat GPT the answer or any other AI, but you'd quite quickly know if I actually really, like you only have to ask one extra question.
Exactly.
I'm probably completely thrown. Like I could probably remember it, but you ask me an actual practical question. If you're meeting a patient that, well, now I'm screwed. I think there's that real fear, isn't there, of that. But actually, we always say like an interview should be like a best man speech where you want the person to do well. It's not like you got that wrong, you tripped up.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be that, should it?
But we start from this place of like, are you any good?
Yeah. Well, we start from the place of you're not good.
You prove yourself. And
it's guilty until proven innocent.
Dynamic of like, you want this job, and I've got the power because I can give it to you.
Yeah.
Rather than like, hold on a minute, I'm interviewing you as well, mate.
This is it. I was just thinking, if anyone's watching, it's got to be a two-way street.
Yeah.
Because I've been in interviews and quite quickly you're like, oh, this is not the job for me. It looked great on paper and I've got the interview and this is wonderful. I remember I went for a job years ago. It's a PR comms person and they were like, congratulations, we'd love to invite you for a second interview. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm all right, thanks. And they were so surprised. And I was like, no, that's not right for me. And I think this is the thing with getting back to the strengths that people bring to the team, but also knowing where they want to work. Is an office-based place for you? Do you want to be out and about? Do you want to run your own business? Do you want to be creative and free and with a laptop somewhere? We're doing this a lot with our children, aren't we? Like, what does that look like for you? And we're talking to our son at the moment about GCSEs and then like, he's like, what comes next? And we're like, there's A-levels, but there's also T-levels or there's diplomas or there's B-Techs. We're like, the world is really big and wonderful and magical. And yes, you do need some GCSEs, I always think, to get through life. Absolutely fair enough. But actually you don't need to follow this conformed path. I mean, look at us setting up Perfectly Autistic. I don't know how old we are now, in our early 40s.
Sure.
A strong corporate background for you, that's all you've ever done. And we just went, do you know what? We've always wanted to work together. Let's set up this business and actually work for ourselves. And that's why so many neurodivergent folk work for themselves, isn't
Let's
it?
just talk about the fact that you work together.
Yeah.
And you have, your own business and you are married.
I love it.
Yeah, all three. Tick, tick, tick.
Tick, tick, tick.
Yeah.
I mean, for context, we've been together for 25 years this year.
Congrats.
Yes, thank you. You can have a medal.
Married for 18.
Married for 18. And we'd known each other from years before. I won't go into it, but we'd known each other from years before.
Just check out Hester's first episode. I've heard the story before. You don't need to repeat it.
But within 3 months, we were in Australia, travelling, backpacking, and we worked together at the Melbourne Boat Show cleaning shoes, right, cleaning boots. And we were like, we would love to work together. This would be amazing. But then you get back and you get a house and a mortgage and you have kids.
And you follow life, and this is where you should do things. And you go out to work, separate jobs, and you do this thing.
Yeah.
So it's taken us kind of 19 years roughly to get back to this point of let's start business together.
Yeah.
But I think the important bit is we didn't start the business thinking, oh, what business can we start?
Yeah.
Right? We want to start a business, what we can do. That wasn't the idea at all. We were both working, both, successful. And it really came down to kind of my diagnosis and then the feedback from my company. And I think when I was diagnosed first as autistic, we decided that I should tell people. It was only myself, Hester, and the two kids knew. Even my immediate family didn't know. And
the kids had been diagnosed first.
Yeah.
And it was off the back.
Yeah. From that diagnosis, things started going, I think, hold on, this is resonating. This is me. And I got a message from Hester one day. I was away with work and, it said, here's some feedback from the psychologist. I said, well, hold on, is this me or Hudson, our son? Because I'm like, well, it sounds like me. And that's when the kind of penny dropped. And then I got back and we're like, well, let's pursue a formal diagnosis. Because the way my brain works, it's very black or white. So I needed to know.
Sure.
It wasn't good enough to go, well, I might be.
Sure.
I need to know for
find
sure.
out.
Yeah.
So got the diagnosis and I thought, right, the next thing I need to do, which a lot of people need to do that work with companies, is tell their company potentially. And I thought, well, I want to do that because I want to explain. And I remember having the conversation in my head thinking, there's lots of ways this conversation could go. And the way my brain works, again, I kind of work out what those different ways are going to go. So I've then got a backup plan. So I picked up the phone to my boss and I explained the situation, the process, and it was formal. I'd been diagnosed autistic. And he just laughed at me and said, really? Well, you don't look autistic. And that wasn't one of the scenarios I thought of.
That was not
right?
the bingo
So it kind of
card,
threw me. And the conversation only got worse from there with some kind of the feedback. And that was the point where I decided, do you know what, I don't want to work for this company anymore because there wasn't any support after that conversation either.
But it was a big global corporation.
Big global company. I was kind of
Like
sales director at the time for London. He was head of UK and Ireland. And I said, right, this is really bad. I started to reach out to other people and found out actually that's not an uncommon response from work. So we were thinking...
Or in the public.
In the public as well. But
Just to also say.
Yes,
people.
but particularly at work where there should be some more responsibility and accountability from workplace.
And it's a professional setting,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like,
they should look after their people.
Setting.
Yeah.
And I think what we tend to forget is companies, you are at the end of the day just a number to a company, right? If you go, they're not going to go, oh my God, what are we going to do now? But as individuals, we think, oh my God, we need to be loyal, do what we can because, we need, as soon as you're gone, you're like, I can't believe I've given them 10 years of my life kind of thing. So that's what we decided.
Not small companies, by the way.
No, absolutely not.
Phoebe, Charlie.
No, obviously not.
You're like, Ben doesn't care.
So it was kind of that. And then that's where I decided, well, look, let's do something about this. Two reasons. One is how can we make companies like the one I worked for just understand a bit better?
Yeah.
But not just understand, it's the acceptance. Not the kind of laughing, going, don't be dicks,
Sure.
autistic, look autistic, da-da-da.
Yes.
We get it kind of thing. But then on the selfish side of things, we were like, well, actually, our children, I can't remember how old they were at the time.
I'm really bad at maths.
So
like
6 years ago.
and like 10.
8 and 10. And they'd been diagnosed. We thought, actually, if we can speak to as many people, as many companies as possible, by the time they make that huge transition from school to work, maybe the world will be a slightly kinder place.
Yes.
And they won't have to explain. They won't have to go through all this. People go, yeah, we get it.
Yeah.
Because we've been talking about it for the last 10 years. And that's kind of why it came about. And I think that's why it works, because it's not something we thought, what business can we set up?
Yeah.
How can we make money? It was just like, well, let's do this.
Yeah.
And is the aim therefore, obviously, that companies don't need people like
That's
you?
exactly it.
Right.
Yeah. Especially with your workplace mediation as well. Like that's a huge increase. You don't want to be doing workplace mediation. No. We want to get to a stage where you don't need us in for workshops or webinars or there to be training because you know the stuff. You know this and it's all okay. And actually it's okay to be different. It's normal to be different. I think that's the key point. we don't want to be doing this forever.
No.
Don't know what we'd do. We'd
But
maybe set up a
presumably,
sandwich shop.
if enough neurodivergent leaders, managers can advocate enough and understand enough, and therefore cultures and ways of working and all the other corporate bollocks terms that I'm talking about, like change and shift, that just infiltrates. That just then becomes the norm.
Yeah. And I think also it's about people advocating for themselves. Like for us, that's massive with our kids. And we are hugely trying to make them advocate for themselves because, you know, like I took my daughter to the GP and I always have to, they're like, why are you here? And I was just like, do you want me to start? And he's just like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, we're here because, and then within like 10 seconds, she's like, so this has happened. And she's like, and I wasn't happy with that. And I came home and I said to you, that girl can advocate for herself.
Yes.
And that is what I want. And I think a lot of grown-ups can't advocate for themselves. And I think, you know, there's the whole stats around the time a child is 12, if they've got ADHD, they will have received 20,000 more negative comments, 20,000, than their peers, their friends, you know. And I think then adults grow up and go out into the world of work and they lack confidence and they struggle and they can't advocate for themselves and they can't go, hold on, I'm struggling, or can you help me, please? They go, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And they're kind of suffering in silence.
Sure.
And they're masking, but also they're the coping ones, you know. And then maybe if you're a woman and you hit perimenopause, bam, or you're a guy and you've been working flat out the whole time and then you get to a certain age and you're like, I can't keep going. And we see this a lot, don't we? Men especially, and women, but I mean, like, you know, from your perspective, 40s, 50s, who have been masking all these years and are in roles that maybe don't suit them and they've been providing and this and that. And then on the flip side, you get women who've had kids and then maybe kids are diagnosed and then you hit the perimenopause and
I think it's interesting. We see there's almost like this lost generation, right? Between maybe, I don't know, 35, 40 to kind of up to 60 that were born in the 70s and 80s. And you know, neurodiversity certainly wasn't a thing. It was around, but nobody knew about it. Autism, ADHD.
Unless it was very high needs.
Yes, unless you're kind of in that space. So people just grew up and just got on with it, right? They coped, they masked, they got through life, they struggled through life, maybe struggled from job to job, relationship to relationship. We're now seeing a lot of these individuals coming forward to us and saying, you know, I think I'm neurodivergent. I think I'm autistic. I think I've got ADHD. And a lot of the time it's because of the diagnosis of their children.
Sure.
Because we know this runs in families, right?
Yep.
And suddenly you've got these kind of 40s, 50-year-olds that go, my whole life, I'm looking back now and I think, oh my God, that wasn't the real me. I don't know what to do now.
Yeah.
I've now received a diagnosis and it's made everything clear. Or some people say, well, I got a diagnosis when I was younger. It was the wrong diagnosis.
Sure.
So we're seeing this real group of people that kind of were missed.
So many people
now coming through.
misdiagnosed, especially women, borderline personality disorder, anxiety, depression, bipolar. No, they're autistic in a neurotypical world, or they're ADHD and autistic. Like, that's what it is. And the labels
borderline
aren't
personality
fitting.
disorder is another one that
100%.
pops up.
Yeah. And this is it, is I think there is that real lost generation. And then you get to a certain age and you feel like you're coping, in inverted commas, and actually you find you're not coping so well. And that's when it becomes an issue in the workplace, which then affects home life, which then affects relationships or marriage or partners or whatever it is. It then has a much more bigger impact.
I'm yet to come across somebody telling me about an industry around neurodiversity where someone is not saying to me, oh, wow, yeah, ND over-indexes in our industry. And I'm talking banking, construction, finance, legal, medical, the arts, music, sport, etc., politics, whatever. And so, and I just wondered if, based on your guys' experience and the different kinds of companies and organizations you've worked with, we are everywhere, right?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
like every industry. Yeah. There's neurodiversity.
Yeah. Doesn't matter how big your company is, how small it is, what industry, where you're based geographically.
Yeah.
Although some areas will, you know, talk about it less than others, or maybe not allowed to talk about it, and others or don't believe in it. But yeah, everywhere. Individuals are everywhere. But we do find in certain industries, certain companies, you'll get higher or lower percentages depending on the type of work.
100%.
Because we naturally kind of gravitate, don't we, to stuff that works.
Yes.
Red Bull, we've got engineering, tick. We've got Formula One, tick, which is a huge sport loved by a lot of autistic people. It's very analytical, isn't it? And so, you know, you've then got a much higher percentage of people. I was just thinking, we used to live in Reading. They've got the Microsoft headquarters, the Oracle headquarters at Silicon Valley of the UK. There's a really high percentage of neurodivergent kids in Reading and Berkshire. Wonder why.
Yeah.
Where are all their parents working?
Yeah, of course.
You know, and we see it a lot in the different industries we work with. And you can just see that they're struggling. Their employees are struggling and they can't see why. But you're right. You know, we are everywhere.
Give me some best-in-class examples of adjustments, changes, policies, campaigns that some of your clients have put in place and are doing that people listening who run companies or run ERGs, etc., can kind of take some inspiration from.
I will say that, you know, we work at Red Bull. They're amazing. They put coaching in place for their colleagues, for their employees, whether they're diagnosed or not. You know, if someone's struggling and they feel they would need some support from someone who understands neurodiversity, here's Hester, which is amazing, I think. And I think for us, it's the organisations that go, what else can we do?
I think it's the ones that are open to supporting.
That's what
understanding
it is.
to finding out more.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose you.
Yeah.
What can you tell us? How can we help you?
Like I was just thinking about like TUI. We did a massive piece of work with them around Neuroinclusive holidays. Amazing. Oh my God. Like traveling and holidays with neurodivergent children, if you're neurodivergent yourself. So we did a whole piece of work and then they went, hold on a minute, what about all our staff? Like, does that make sense?
Okay,
like they're neurodivergent. How do we support them?
So we went through a program.
They also take holidays.
Yeah.
100%.
So we went through a
And they
program
work
of
here.
helping them and training them, which was great.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. It's a lot of companies, it's the journey that you're on. And I think that's what's key is it's not a, like we said, you know, Neurodiversity Celebration Week's coming up, tick box exercise done. Yeah. That's not what it has to be.
I think you can tell that it always starts with an awareness piece.
Yeah.
To get the whole company on the same page.
Yes.
Because if you've got a few people that don't get it, it's not going to work for those individuals. And then it kind of spirals from there. Very quickly, we can tell the discussion. Yeah. Right, you talk about awareness, but we can tell that you kind of get it, right? You get what we're talking about. Maybe you're directly linked somehow to neurodiversity, whether yourself or somebody else. Yeah. But we get that you get it and you want to do some more things. Yeah. And you're talking to us from the perspective of our people need our help. How can you help us? Rather than, you know, we want to do something for this day. Yeah. And then everybody will go, we're really happy and they'll all be fixed. Yeah. Because we've done a workshop kind of thing, right? It's kind of that ongoing stuff. So I think that's a really important bit, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think the main point, trying to remember your original question, is almost like what does not quite best in show look like? But I think for us, it's all around communication. I think if you get the communication right, whether it's at work, whether it's with colleagues, whether it's relationships, whatever it is, it's that communication is key, isn't it? So understanding how different people communicate, which we've talked about already, but understanding maybe does someone want you to follow up with that on email? Do they prefer a face-to-face so that they can understand and take it in, but then they still need that on email to follow up so you can refer back to it?
Yes.
You know, is it that actually someone doesn't want to be in a room with loads of people when that's being discussed? Is it that actually someone would be prefer to work from home and it's Teams and that's more comfortable? But I think communication is key, isn't it? I think that's really important, is getting the communication right.
Yeah.
70% of it.
I never understood, sort of mid to late 20s, why I absolutely loathed brainstorms. And yet I was in a creative industry and in an industry that was, you know, all about ideas and design and all the rest of it. And yet in a brainstorm, I was usually quite rubbish.
Well, yeah. What would happen?
Because I didn't want to be put on the spot. Yeah. I wanted to think about stuff because I want to work it out. Sure, I can have ideas, but I actually also can work stuff out to come out with the idea.
Yeah. You need to go through that process rather than just going,
sometimes
bam.
you've got to go through that. Yeah. Like my kids now know, but like I'm not going to guess. Don't ask me to guess about anything.
We do this all the time.
I'm
guess
like,
what that said. Guess what happened there. I don't want to guess. Just tell me.
Guess how much that cost. Guess this.
Not guessing.
Yeah, no. Kelly's the same. Don't ask me. Yeah.
It's almost one of those where they stand in the room, they've got their notepad and pen, right, go.
Yeah.
Brainstorm, right, and, you know, blue sky thinker, whatever they want to call it. All these crappy words, you know, the ways they describe. Right, go, right, Ben, go. What have you got? What have you got? You haven't got anything. Okay, right, next one.
Yeah. And also the whole no idea is a bad idea.
Yeah, stupid.
Well, but also it is.
Yeah.
Because then you would say something and everyone would go, oh,
well, this idea is a bad idea for a start.
Yeah.
So, it's like...
Stupid.
Yeah. But as you say, actually, do you know what? We're all going to come together, have a think. This is what we're going to discuss. Agendas for meetings. Do we need a meeting? Do we need the brainstorm? Like we were doing some work with Mind, mental health charity. Amazing. Super proud of that. They were like re-looking at all their meetings and how they should run. And I said, how many meetings have you had for that? They'd had 5 meetings to discuss their redoing of meetings. Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. So, but actually, brainstorming, we're going to have a brainstorm. This is what we're going to discuss. bring your ideas with you.
Yeah.
So
Here's some
you can have
information
a
up front.
thought.
Here's a brief.
Think about it, Ben. Go away. Come to it, in a couple of days' time with your thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not get you on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to kind of labour the point on like, it doesn't matter. I don't really care whether you're autistic or
No.
ADHD or dyslexic or whatever. I just like care how can you thrive
Yeah.
and how can you do your best work?
Yes.
That's again comes back to asking the questions.
Yeah.
What are you good at? How do you like to communicate? What do you mean you want it unwritten? Well, okay, well, if that's what you want, it'll take me 2 extra minutes to put that information in an email rather than stop you in the corridor and go, Ben, glad I've got you. I need to do this, this, and this for me. God, I can't remember what that was that he asked me to do.
Yeah.
It's just
and then you're
little
like,
things.
can
It's
you
easy.
just send me an email? Oh, what a fucking diva he is.
Yeah.
Can I just? No, I can't actually.
But then also, you've then got that clarity, haven't you? So when they go, oh, you didn't do that, and you go, as per my email dated, you've got that as not evidence, but then it just keeps it clear
Like
in your head.
I can look back at it another time.
Yeah.
I can see exactly what you're asking me for. Oh, and I can see you prioritize them as well. So I was thinking you wanted them in a couple of weeks because it didn't sound very important.
Yeah.
I actually wanted it by tomorrow. Shit, I better do that.
Yeah.
It kind of, that helps them. It's not about being a diva. It's actually what I need to help you.
Yeah.
It's that clarity, it's expectations, it's all
knowing
of
where
those
you
things.
stand, isn't it, really, I think that's the point.
I think touch on your question around what makes it good. It's kind of moving away from this kind of performance, making the optics look great. We're a great company. Look, put it on your website. We're Neuroinclusive.
Yeah.
And kind of neuroinclusion comes back to the individual, comes back to lived experience. Actually, does your neuroinclusion make their work life better? How does it better support them rather than just looks great from a PR perspective?
Sure.
We're neuroinclusive. Great. Come and work for us. Well, once you're in, we've got you.
Yeah.
We're not going to change anything.
Yeah.
I think that's the key.
And
Is
what
it just-
can potential employees look for when they're looking at companies they want to join and considering like how neuroinclusive they are, rather than kind of going like, do you know about autism?
Yeah.
Like, what should people be looking for?
I mean, I think they should be looking at if there are neurodivergent leaders within that organisation. So we did something with the London Mayor's office, didn't we? And the Deputy Mayor, out and proud as dyslexic. And he was like, the irony is I have to spend all my time writing speeches. I'm not very good at that. So I delegate that because actually I'm really great at the other bits. So somewhere where there's a leader or line managers that are out and proud, as I call it, and are talking about being neurodivergent themselves or what this
That's
looks
a
like.
massive sign, isn't it?
Yeah. Not just someone, we've got a poster boy.
Not just the website
We've
says
just
we're
got,
great. It's like within their kind of diversity tab somewhere at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yes.
It needs to be that's kind of walking the walk, talking the talk. I think you'd know quite quickly from an interview, for example, if you get that far, how genuine it is, whether if they mean it, etc. But I think do some digging. There's like websites, something like Glassdoor, see what people are saying.
Sure.
If you're got ADHD, you're going to go on a deep dive, aren't you? You're going to go down that rabbit hole and really find out and see what people are saying, within that organisation on LinkedIn. What are they saying? You can quite quickly get a picture, I think, if you do some research, looking between, like Kelly said, any badges on their website, or this is what we do. It's like schools, isn't it, with the kids, the ones that all have these amazing policies. But what are you actually doing for this rather than just going, we've got a policy on that. That's great. But what
It's
does
like
that mean?
anything, isn't it? Do your research, ask questions, maybe get recommendations from people. If you know somebody that works there or know somebody that knows somebody that works there, ask them, what are they like on this? What are they around, neurodiversity or diversity in general? Oh, they're terrible, don't work for them, kind of thing. You're like, oh, great, they look great on their website. Yeah, but they would do. Have they written any articles? Do they have any blogs written by employees that have lived experience?
Yeah.
That they allow them to put their blogs on the website.
Yeah.
That actually shows that they're open to talking about it. So lots of things you can do, but just do your research, ask questions.
But also think, is that the right company for you? Is that the right company geographically? Am I going to then have a 2-hour commute each day? Like almost the real practical things.
Are they open to flexible working?
Yeah.
Yes.
All these sorts of things that you'd want.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the one thing that employers can start with or do to be more neuroinclusive, aside of emailing Hester?
Or me. They can email me.
They can
I'm
email you,
open to
Kelly.
emails.
We're
I think
very responsive.
it's the talking about it. Talk about it.
Yeah.
Reduce the stigma, get rid of the fear that people have within organisations.
Yeah.
Talk, right? Especially the people at the top.
Yeah.
Talk about neurodiversity all the time, consistently.
And it is okay to
organisations.
talk about.
Of course it is. Yeah.
Share blogs, share podcasts. We saw this really cool podcast, thought you might like to watch it. I think it's about just being open and talking about it, isn't it? Because I think the more you talk about something, the less stigma there is attached. Whereas if it's like, no, we don't talk about that. oh no, we don't talk about that. That's something we just read about in the news or
Yeah.
whatever. All
And
that
we are everywhere. We're in every company.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
there isn't a
At every level.
neurotypical company.
No.
Every level. We're like
No.
across, we're kind of
Yeah.
across everything, aren't we?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter kind of where you're from,
Intersectional, isn't it?
intersectional neurodiversity.
Complete.
It's the only kind of diversity that kind of is at that level.
Yeah.
And I think, we all know, it doesn't matter how big your company is, how small it is. If the person at the top has a particular view or doesn't talk about something or talks about something, nobody
Sets
else
the
talks about
tone.
it.
Yeah, it does.
It does,
Yeah.
massively.
Yeah.
So talk about it openly. That will get the conversation going. People will be open. Then you'll suddenly get more experiences inside your own business saying, well, we should be doing this, or that's a really great thing to do. Well, let's adopt that then.
Yeah.
If I give you a magic wand.
Oh, yeah. Is it sparkly?
Yes, very fucking sparkly.
Good.
It's got a pencil at the end
Thank
and it's
you.
like
Yeah.
stationary.
Yeah,
and-
perfect. Maybe a pom-pom.
yeah, pom-pom.
Yeah, good.
I give you a magic wand. The goal is make the UK workforce or industry more neuroinclusive.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Such a good one. I think it's about not judging and being kind.
Okay.
I think you don't know what people are going through. So you have the whole adage of like years ago, wasn't it? Like leave your personal life at the door because you're in work now. And actually, I think people have got so much going on and they don't know that they're neurodivergent. So I just think we need to be more kind in the world, kinder to ourselves. And I think within a business, just be kind. They're people. At the end of the day, you've got amazing staff, you've got amazing people. It's going to cost a lot of money to retrain people, rehire them, get new people in, etc. So just look after the staff you've got, meet them where they're at as well, and just put things into place that benefits everybody.
Yeah.
Don't be treating people differently. Just it's a blanket approach. It's the right thing to do.
And then Kelly, I'll give you a stick because you are angry and annoyed about something that does need to change. Who are you going to hit?
Wow. Okay.
The list is long, I feel.
That's quite an open question for me. So there's
Yeah,
so many
I
different answers
appreciate
I could
that.
give you there. Yeah. If you'd give me like A or B, it'd have been a lot easier.
Guess.
Who would I hit? I don't think I'd hit anybody.
Okay.
And I'll explain why. I don't think it's anybody's fault.
That we have so many unemployed
knowledge.
people that are neurodivergent, tribunals are happening.
No,
We don't have
and
enough awareness.
yeah, but we have all that. But I don't think that's one person's fault.
Sure,
So it
sure,
needs
sure.
to be, a number of sticks, number of different lengths to
Yeah.
reach those people.
Yeah.
I think there's a huge amount of ignorance. There's a huge amount of people being scared to say things, whether you're neurodivergent or not, because they don't want to upset people. And, we've gone through this whole thing around cancel culture. You say the wrong thing, actually, that could be you over, whether
Yes.
it's your job or if you're, a celebrity, whatever it is. So I think there's a huge amount of ignorance, a huge amount of awareness that needs to happen and understanding. So I don't think it's a case of hitting people with sticks. I think it is about bringing them on kind of on that journey and helping them to understand what the benefits are, why we're doing this, that it's actually neurodiversity is something that's real.
What could government do, though?
From a government point of view, they're not going to fix everything, but it's almost like being that role model leading the way.
Yeah.
Like we say about leaders within companies, government are above leaders in some respect. So they need to be setting the tone, saying, we understand this is what we're putting into place.
Yeah.
We're actually engaging the community in this. We're understanding what they actually need and what they don't.
Making shortlists, waiting lists shorter.
Sure.
Putting policies
Letting
in
people
place.
get diagnosed.
The trouble is every government that comes in might only be around for 5 years.
Yep.
So each government will put something that benefits them for the 5 years.
Yep.
And then maybe put something deliberately at the end that trips up the next government.
Sure.
So I think we're kind of, fighting this kind of very short-term thinking rather than long-term. So if we can have governments that put policies in that are long-term thinking that can't then be undone by the next government that comes in, I think that would really help. So I think they need to guide organisations about saying, here's some mandatory things that we need to be doing as standard, like we do for other things in companies. You can and can't do certain things in the business. They need to be doing that in neurodiversity as well.
I also think that goes across into employers and you'll definitely know what it's like, Kelly, with cycles at FMCG companies of like people enroll for a couple of years
Yeah.
or 3 years or stints as CEOs, and it's based on performance where you've got to answer to shareholders, and it's who gives a about neurodiversity?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Is it?
that's too long a
earning
thing.
money?
That's not really, is that gonna, I desperately want somebody, and I know Made by Dyslexia team came out with a report in the last year around the kind of potential benefit economically of supporting dyslexic thinkers globally being $4.5 trillion, right? That's what the opportunity is. And I think, unfortunately, until people really recognize and see the economic benefit of having neurodivergent people. Someone said to me the other day, "You're only 3 full-time people at the charity." I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, you look massive. And I'm like, a neurodivergent team. Like, we
Yeah.
get on with it.
Yeah, we get it
We
done.
make things happen. Like,
Yeah.
until people realize that
Yeah.
it is a benefit and a competitive advantage having neurodivergent employees, we're not going to flip the kind of narrative.
No. And I mean, when we do our training, we talk about the fact that it brings creativity, innovation, different ways of thinking. You don't hire the same people because you just hire the same people and it's a cookie cutter approach. You're going to get the same things each time. So if you're wanting innovation, creativity, wonderful ideas, great products, new marketing campaigns, awesome new alcohol-free spirits, for example. If you want all these kind of amazing ideas, you do need to hire people who think differently.
Yeah, but if you want repetition and attention to detail,
Yes.
someone who is just
on
so
it.
accurate.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
get some autistic people in your boat.
Yeah.
But we need to get to that stage, don't we, where everybody potentially who's autistic knows they're autistic.
Yes.
Or has ADHD, knows that they've got ADHD. So, and you have in the tech world over the past sort of 5-10 years, the tech companies, particularly in America, have deliberately tried to target autistic individuals.
Yeah.
But only specific autistic individuals, the ones that they would call high functioning in the old money. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
No, we want the ones like that. We don't want those ones.
We want the special
We want the
ones.
ones that can, do what we want them to do.
Yeah.
So I think until we're all kind of comfortable enough disclosing kind of our condition or our kind of challenges, but also our strengths, it then becomes very difficult for companies to say, well, we are going to hire these
That's
people.
what we're
because
looking.
We don't
we're
know who they
looking
are.
for those skills.
Yeah,
Now we
exactly.
understand there are people who have those kinds of skills.
skill set.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it almost needs to be a new language, moving away from the labels, like you said, to a different way of explaining or describing the skill set that you would have if you're autistic. But it doesn't pigeonhole you into, well, everybody that's autistic is great at that.
Yes.
It's like, these are my skills, but how do I explain that?
If it was less about the role and more about, okay, what skills do you bring and what challenges? And so what kind of employee are you? Yeah, I think that could be massively, it's got nothing to do with labels and all the rest of it. And, it's easy to kind of jump far ahead, get carried away when we live and breathe this and like with preaching to the choir, talking to ourselves about it.
But I think a lot of companies think that putting reasonable adjustments in is really expensive. I think they think we're going to come down and take down walls and redo their lighting and sort out the heating. And actually it's like, just send an agenda before the meeting.
Yeah.
Like, just ask people where they want to sit.
Communicate, set expectations, ask a question.
Does anyone really want
That's
hot desking? Like, let's really think about this.
Yeah.
Maybe give someone a desk lamp.
Yeah.
Like, it's not groundbreaking.
Yeah.
And I think people genuinely, companies think, God, we can't
It's going to
afford
cost
this.
us a fortune.
It's just different ways of
Yeah,
communicating. with
most
people.
adjustments, they don't cost anything.
Yeah.
And they're so easy to implement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
And
think
also
about
if
it.
that person then doesn't have 5-6 days a year
Yes.
and I don't know, makes £10,000 more sales
Yeah.
or whatever, then your 50 quid desk lamp is like
I know. Yeah.
absolutely worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you invest in some coaching, or you invest in some training, or you like I said, share podcasts with people. Like, things don't have to cost
Yeah.
a lot of money. And you can be
Yeah.
like, here's a really great Instagram clip you might relate to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't need to be some big all singing or dancing. And I think companies sometimes are like, oh, we're not there yet. We can't. No, just
But I think they also
start.
think we need to solve it now.
Yeah, it's not
This
a
year's
journey.
campaign
It's like,
is neurodiversity.
Yeah.
Right.
We're gonna
Team in
crack it.
HR or EDI or
Isn't it?
employee resource group, solve this for us by December.
yeah.
Yes.
Come back with a plan.
Yeah.
We'll have a brainstorm. You'll come up with all these ideas. We'll have a plan. We'll put strategy. We'll give you a little bit of budget.
Maybe we'll
or
change
you
the
come to
policy.
us. You come to us cap in hand and ask for some money, and we'll do it for you. But you need to solve it by December.
Yeah.
And then that'll be 2026 done.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a new campaign into 2027.
Yeah.
Actually, no, let's work on it for the next 10 years. But,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
do it bit by bit.
We could keep talking, obviously.
Obviously.
Obviously. Thank you so much. I mean, thank you for coming in and us having your brains for some time, but also, we haven't covered this before. I think there's loads to it, but I just hope for people listening and watching, whether they are an employer or an employee or in a recruitment process, or just trying to understand how to support a colleague or deal with a boss
Challenging
or
situation.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is a good understanding. If people want to find out more about your work, where can they go?
So perfectlyautistic.co.uk. We're both on LinkedIn. Kelly is Kelly Grainger, the autistic CEO. You talk a lot about leadership, don't you? Which I think, being an autistic leader, which really resonates with people. I'm Hester Grainger on LinkedIn. Obviously, we're over on Instagram. I'm Hester's Vibe. Obviously, you're over on Instagram as well. But just, we've got loads of free resources, loads of free blogs on our website, information. I think that is what people need, isn't it? They need signposting. I think that's a really great place to start, is go, where can I read more about this? So perfectlyautistic.co.uk.
Okay, lovely. And my last question, which is actually 2 questions because it's one to each of you. Our green dot badges, you guys are sporting them. We do have them available on our website. You get 2 badges for £10.
Ooh,
which means you can give somebody, which is a nice thing.
That's nice.
But I've got a badge each for you to give to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Kelly, who would you like to give your badge to?
It didn't take me long to think of this, to be honest. So I would probably give it to the boss that laughed and said, "Ooh, well, you don't look autistic." I think that's probably the biggest one for me. And that's almost where this journey started for me. So there's your badge. Bit more acceptance, bit more understanding.
Good one.
Yeah.
Hester, who would you give your badge to?
I'm going to give it to my drama teacher that didn't let me take my GCSE. Not bitter at all these years later.
Wow, you guys have it's good. This is dartboard stuff.
Can we give it to them spiky end in? Because it's a little pin.
Give it to them without the other.
That's what I mean. Without the end bit,
without
the
the
safety
butterfly
cap.
bit.
Just
push it in.
Yeah, I think that's who we would.
Yeah.
Pin the tail on the donkey. Thanks, guys. Keep doing what you're doing, please. It's super important what you're doing, so please keep doing it.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
That's it for today's episode of The Hidden 20%. But just before you go, a favour. The Hidden 20% is a charity, and we do this to bring you the truth, the latest research, and the real stories that matter. So if this episode spoke to you, then please hit subscribe. And if you can, donate via the link below. Finally, a big shout out to you all for listening and our brilliant team who make this all happen. Phoebe, Charlie, Kristen, James, John, and the guys at TYX Studios. We'll see you next time.